Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. It is now in order to consider amendment number 72, printed in Part B of the House Report 118-559. For what purpose does the gentleman from Florida seek recognition?
Mr. Chair, I rise today in support of my floor amendment number 72 to
Does the gentleman have an amendment at the desk?
I have an amendment on the desk. Thank you.
Clerk will designate the amendment.
Thank you.
Amendment number 72, printed in Part B of House Report number 118-559, offered by Mr. Waltz of Florida.
Pursuant to House Resolution 1316, the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Waltz, and a member opposed, each will control 5 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Florida.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, I rise today in support of my floor amendment, which would prevent funding in this bill from being used to support the Biden administration's failed and frankly humiliating efforts to build a pier off the shore of Gaza. Mr. Chair, this pier honestly has to be one of the most embarrassing pieces of performance art I've seen in my 27-year military career. It has now cost in excess of $300 million to build. It has had to repeatedly halt operations. It has put our service members at risk. It is broken up several times due to sea states and weather that the administration was repeatedly briefed on ahead of President Biden's announcement. And so far, the pier has resulted in less than, almost no aid to the Palestinian people. We have 3 U.S. service members injured. We have 1 in critical condition. You'll remember, Mr. Chair, that President Biden, right there where you're standing, announced this harebrained idea during the State of the Union address back in March. Reportedly surprised the Pentagon with the announcement that wasn't informed ahead of time. And because of that surprise, it took nearly 2 months to get the ships and the equipment over into place, and the first truckloads of aid did not begin moving ashore until May 17th. But of those first shipments, the first shipment, 16 trucks left the pier, got on shore. 11 out of the 16 were looted, intercepted, or attacked. Only 5 of that 16 made it to the warehouse, and guess what? It was the same warehouse that the aid coming from overland was also sitting. By May 22nd, the Department of Defense confirmed that none of the aid unloaded from the pier was reaching the broader Palestinian population because of these regular interceptions once it hit land. It turns out that whether the aid comes from sea or comes from land, you have the same distribution problem in an area controlled by the terrorist organization Hamas. And the Defense Department has since confirmed of all of these months, the pier has only been in operation a total of 10 working days. Even international aid organizations are saying that it has largely failed in its mission. We know now that the administration, the White House, was repeatedly warned that the sea and the weather would not support it. They moved ahead anyway for what was clearly a political talking point to pander to the progressive left, to look like they were doing something when operationally they were warned it would fail. Look, at the end of the day, alleviating the suffering of the people of Gaza is a laudable goal that we should all get behind. But if we wanted to effectively do that, let's shift policy on Iran, the heartbeat of terrorism in the Middle East. And as long as Iran has the cash, the money, the resources to fund its terrorist proxies, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, it will continue to do so, and there will not be peace. Let's allow Israel to destroy the terrorist organization Hamas. Let's accelerate the weapons into Israel that is trying to create some stability there with an organization that does not want a two-state solution and is saying openly more October 7th will happen. And then finally, Mr. Chair, let's stop demonizing the democratically elected government of Israel, our ally, who is in the middle of an existential threat. There are a lot of things we could do to alleviate the suffering and to bring peace, but this harebrained, politically motivated Pier idea I've truly never seen anything like it, and was a bad idea from the start. I encourage my colleagues to support this amendment to defund it, and I reserve my
Gentleman
time.
reserves. For what purpose does the gentlewoman from California seek recognition?
Mr. Chairman, I claim the time in opposition.
Gentlelady is recognized.
Mr. Chairman, I rise in strong opposition to this amendment. No funds in the State and Foreign Operations Bill go toward the humanitarian pier built by the United States Department of Defense off the coast of Gaza, just as FYI. This is not political talk. If you know what's taking place in Gaza, people are desperate. The distribution of aid from the pier is at least partially managed by USAID, period, including support for the World Food Program. I'm also frustrated that we have to resort to these extraordinary measures to get aid into Gaza. In an area that is nearing collapse and where 1 million people are facing catastrophic hunger, we need to utilize every channel that is available if you care about human life. This month, Israel facilitated 204 humanitarian missions into Gaza. It also denied or impeded another 76, and another 38 were canceled due to insecurity or logistical reasons. There simply is not enough aid getting in. The current humanitarian pier is only supposed to be in place for a few more weeks before weather makes it untenable. There are no current plans to use the pier into fiscal year 2025, which is the focus of this amendment. I pray that we will not be in this situation next year, but I refuse to take any tools that will help innocent civilians off the table. The suffering of the civilian population of Gaza will not make Israel safer. It is contributing to its insecurity and is counterproductive. And so it is important that those who value human life not support this amendment. I urge a no vote on this amendment, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Lady reserves. The gentleman's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I find it ironic that the administration has assured the world, assured the public, assured the Congress that the pier would be in place till September. I guess they are somewhat acknowledging the failure of the harebrained idea and saying, well, now it can only be 2 to 3 more weeks. All the more reason we need to put this measure in place to prevent another attempt next year. And history is replete with all kinds of elected and other officials saying the war will be over by Christmas. The war will be over soon. So we need to ensure this can't happen again. This type of waste can't happen again, and that we don't put our service members at risk. And absolutely, as the gentlelady pointed out, USAID has a heavy hand. The State Department has a heavy hand. This amendment will ensure that we don't do this again. And then finally, Mr. Chair, I just need to point out that the UN-supported Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, the IPC initiative, has revised its earlier findings and concluded there is no famine in Gaza. I yield my time.
Gentleman yields. Gentlelady is recognized.
Just to clarify, I didn't say that USAID had a heavy hand. What I said was that the distribution of aid from this pier is at least partially managed by USAID. That's what I said. So it would be, I think, wise to not mislead the public, and this is how disinformation and misinformation and lies get spread. I urge my colleagues to oppose this amendment, and I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. The question is on the amendment offered by the gentleman from Florida. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The amendment is agreed to.
Recorded vote, Mr. Chairman.
Pursuant to Clause 6 of Rule 18, further proceedings on the amendment offered by the gentleman from Florida will be postponed.